Afternoon. This is Nita and Miss Panda with the Timepiece Garden, and she's already off doing patrol work. So, sky's gray. It's going to be a warm day though. 20% chance of rain, and that normally means it's going to go around me. I'm not going to see any. Just in case I do have the umbrella with me. We're going to start doing gutter work and pipe work. Starting tomorrow, we're supposed to have rain for maybe the next 2 days. We're going to see if we can get the water to pop out the dent, fill the tank, and see whether or not I got a leak. But to do that, I got to get the gutter work on. So that's what we're doing. I got tools and pieces and parts, and you know, you can see my little glues over there. Silver cap. Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff here. First thing I'm going to do is the 2-inch there at the base. Because it's got a ball valve I'm gonna put on it that I did not use with that one. Mostly because by the time I'm done, this is a longer piece of roof and I should be able to fill 2 containers. I only have 1 container right now. So I gotta put the ball valve on it and then shut it off at the ball valve so I can get the T on it on a later date, cap one end and run the other end to water that garden. But I don't have to do that today. I do have to get the ball valve on it though. That way I can close it and let it fill with water and get the drain on it so it drains off the hill, not here where it's standing. So I'm gonna get the ball valve on it first so it's got time to dry, and then gutter and ground. So let me get busy and I'll bring you along. All right, I got good news and bad news. Good news is my 2-inch hole. This is the piece that's supposed to go into it. It screws in. Hey, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Really? You know, I tested it 30 seconds ago before I did the video. There we go. So it screws in. That makes sense. And then to seal it, it gets some of this one. And then what happens is, unscrew it. It comes off, or it doesn't come off, but in that big hole that doesn't screw, it fits on the 2-inch pipes that'll take the water down to the garden. You know, I just want to show. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. So there it goes. It fits on the pipe. Does that make sense? As it's supposed to. Again, I'm not putting it on tight right now. And it goes together with the blue one. So, and then use a piece of pipe. This one goes on. You can see I have 3 of these. One screws onto this end. This is the ball valve. And you get one of these that screw on each end. There you go. Same thing, and that allows the 2-inch pipe, you know, to hook through. And then having said that, I'm gonna do this one. This is the ball valve. You can see it's open right now. Turn the big blue handle. Sorry, it's a little stiff. Hey, trying to set you up so you can, you know, at least enjoy some scenery, not just crate. I don't know. All right, hang on for a second. All right, there you go. Ball valve. You can see I didn't close it all the way, but you turn it, and it's I gotta. Again, didn't close it all the way, so you can see there's a little crack still in there, so it's still let water flow, but I'll end up setting this up so I can close the valve completely, and that way we can catch water. So all the 2-inch stuff is good to go. 1.5-inch stuff, I have no idea what's wrong with this piece. Does that make sense? It screws in like it's supposed to at this end. Does that make sense? But this end does not fit, and I'm gonna bring one of my other joints down. Doesn't fit the 1.5-inch pipe. Then come on. There we go. So they're the same size. They don't fit at all. You know, where it should slide in. Hey, pipe's not working with me again. It should slide in just like that. So what does that mean for today? Well, it means I can set up the water catchment and I can close that off, and that way I can catch water. But it also means my overflow drain will be draining directly on top of the catchment. And if it does overflow, it gets wet here, I'm not going to be able to tell if it's wet from the overflow or if it's wet because they cracked the sill when they dented the tank. I'm gonna have no idea. So it doesn't matter, I'm still gonna get started. I'm gonna get the bottom portion attached and go back to Home Depot and find out, why I don't have the right piece. This screws in appropriately. It's 1.5 inches. This is not. Hey, heavy winds. I'm blowing stuff away. Sorry, I'm hanging on to stuff. All right. Let's not blow stuff away. So, anyway, let me get started on that one. And I'm not going to do that one today. Talk to you in a few. All right, on to the next phase. So, we got the yellow stuff up against the tank. This is on, it's on tight. This takes the longest amount of time to seal. Does that make sense? Which is why I did it first. So now we're going to use the blue stuff that you normally use with PVC pipe. Again, this goes on. That goes on those pieces. These get screwed into the ball valve, and like this one goes into that piece. And it just puts it all together. But I got everything cut out and ready because once I open this, does that make sense? Once air gets to it, it wants to start drying out. So I get all the pieces ready so I can just glue and stick, glue and stick, glue and stick, glue and stick, and then put it away. I've also decided that I will keep the cap on the 1.5 inch hole. Should I truly get 600 gallons worth of rain? I don't think so. It'll be able to come out the top. Because I'll have this open for the rain to get in. That'll kind of get everything wet, but as it dries, it won't be coming out of here, leaking down. Does that make sense? So we'll see if that works. All right, let me get busy. Yeah, supervisor, she checked it out. She's like, yeah, Mom, it's a good job. She did remind me that once I get this full of water, I'll end up putting a piece of wood or a cinder block under it, just to make sure it's supported. So when it's got water running through it, it doesn't vibrate. It's got something that it's resting on. But yeah, life is awesome. Now I do have it completely in the open position. That way air goes through on the inside and continues to help dry the adhesive glue. So what's next? What's next is leveling. I've got rake and shovels out here already. Get this leveled out. All of this, you can see where, again, the stripe from where rain has come off the roof and pushed rock that way, and I need to level it and push it back and add rock as necessary. So let me get busy. Talk to you in a few. All right, I'm trying to stand in my shadow, or there you go, the workshop shadow, so I can see the screen. All right, so I leveled out the mound. Went ahead and moved the tank over here, so I could see that it's set level appropriately, and it does. I could tell there was a dip there. And then what I also did is I took, this is as wide as a tank, which was awesome because I was able to lay it here. I'm going to explain that in a second. So anyway, I had a dip there. That's some river rock that the big box store sold. It was the cheapest of all the rock they had. That's why I bought it. So anyway, that's all level now. It's level with, the mound that we unmounded all the way back here. Now, having said that, long term, and now I get to, hopefully you can see what I see, because depending upon how well the sun comes out, depends on whether or not I can see the screen. Long term, there's supposed to be 2 tanks here. I have more than enough roof here to fill both tanks when it rains. They pretty much fit brick to brick when you measure them out. Not exactly, but if you go outside brick to halfway in the middle, they fit perfectly. There'll be 2 tanks here long term. Now we know this tank is supposed to feed the orchard. That tank is supposed to feed that garden. The tank that's not here will feed that garden. The one that I don't have the swell built. I don't have the tank yet because the garden's not ready for it yet. It's just that easy. Having said that, I have to plan for the fact that it will be here. This is where it sets. I will go through all of this again. I'll level this side out and yada, yada, yada next year, the year after that. So that tank will shade this tank in the winter. So I have to make sure that this tank sticks out far enough where the entrance and the overflows, does that make sense, always get my south sun. That way the pipes don't split. So now I will you know, close the ball cap and drain the actual water pipe in the wintertime so there's only water in the tank, but you don't want it to split at the tank. Does that make sense? Because the you figure there's what, 6 inches of PVC pipe that will now be openly exposed. And while yes, I will wrap it and I'll wrap the ball valve and so on down the line, in the wintertime you still want my south sun, which is roughly right there, south facing, to hit that tank. So this tank has to be forward, you know, 2 or 3 feet forward compared to this tank, which has to be 2 or 3 feet back. So even though the tank's not here, that's why this here being the width of the tank is awesome, because I can, it's laid there, and I know that all of this has to stick out farther than that end, which is why I had to go ahead and level that section of rocks there, so it'll stick out just fine. So I'm sorry that was a crazy long explanation for why this tank is not going to be up against the wall. I don't want to have to drain it when I get the other tank to move it. It needs to be in its permanent home now. The only thing I'll have to change is where the water comes off, or not where it comes off, but when it comes down, it'll come down to this tank first, and the overflow in this tank will fill that tank. So that's the plan. Life is awesome when what's in my brain works out on ground. All right, talk to you in a few.